Welcome to We Are the Hansons. How are you, Maya?
I'm great.
Well, this weekend we celebrate Easter, among other things, birthday parties and things like that, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Easter, we want to talk about that a little bit today because Easter has always been kind of like our shindig at the Hanson house.
Yes.
I mean, we have a lot of traditions for Easter. I shouldn't even just like single out Easter. It's a lot of them, but every chance we've had, we've used Easter, or I shouldn't say we've used it, but we get together as a family and we have a lot of family traditions. And Easter is one of those things that, we've had beautiful sunny days.
Yep.
We've had snow.
Yes.
We've had freezing rain.
Yep.
We've had tornadoes in the area. You name it on Easter, we've pretty much seen it all.
Yeah.
And there's always a few things that we do, like the Easter Bunny obviously comes, and we find the Easter Bunny baskets with the kids.
Yep. We dye Easter eggs like usually the day before.
Yeah, I don't do much dyeing Easter eggs.
Yeah, it can be a mess.
Right. So, and then, the Easter Bunny leaves eggs around, and then sometimes we will get our own eggs, like if we have extra people coming over that the Easter Bunny doesn't know about, and we'll go out and hide them. And I believe it was last year, the year before, we found all of them, and then we went out and hid them, and then we found them again, and then we went out and re-hid them again.
Yeah, I think it keeps the kids occupied. They like the adventure, I guess, maybe, of just searching and trying to find them.
So what are you making this year on Easter?
Well, I am doing a ham and homemade pies and potatoes.
What kind of potatoes?
Mashed potatoes.
Oh, you're doing,
Homemade.
I thought you were doing cheesy potatoes.
Oh, we could do that too.
Yeah, well, okay, so you've got that. Now the chef, which is me, at least the outside chef, I'm doing a bacon-wrapped turkey breast, like a great big one. What is it, 11, 12 pounds?
Yeah, I think it was 11 and a half.
And we're marinating it, and then we're putting pepper jelly on it, and then we're putting bacon over the top, and we're putting it on the Yoder smoker.
Yep.
And that's going to be wonderful. It's going to be like heaven in your mouth.
You think so?
I know so. It is what it is. But, I don't think people understand that, at least a lot of people. I see the kids as friends come over here, and, man, you see these kids, they yearn so much for just family get-togethers, like for that sense of family. It's a time that it kind of renews your spirit when you get to spend time with family.
Yeah, and most of the time we have kids that aren't even part of our family that show up here just to be part of something.
Right. And, we never forget about what Easter is about, Jesus dying on the cross and going to hell and, beating death and coming up and forgiving our sins. We never forget about that part either. And that's the most important part. But what I think is when you start framing that into your family's life, man, it kind of renews your spirit, and it makes you feel very, very lucky that you've been blessed to have, this wonderful family and, children and grandchildren and stories and memories.
And we do a lot of like game playing on the holidays. So we break out the board games or card games, and just having your family there to make them memories and watching them grow up and carrying on those traditions is absolutely amazing.
Right. Yeah, and I think there's something with like always a football game.
Yeah.
This year there might be a basketball game.
Yeah. Our boys love playing ball.
Well, anything that, they can do and have fun, they're doing. And it kind of seems to me that the kids absolutely enjoy it and love it also.
They do. They like to have something to do. So if there's a game that they could play, they're right there playing it.
Right. And the sisters get involved too.
Yeah.
So, how powerful do you think it has been in the Easters that we've had with getting our kids together around the dinner table? I don't mean now we don't even have a dinner table big enough to fit everybody, but just the years of sitting down, enjoying food together, and spending those family moments together.
That is very important. One, you get to hear your growing kids tell you about what's going on in their life, and the little ones are there to hear it. And everybody just gets to share their stories, and everybody listens and chimes in. And
yeah, how great. You doing? How's work going? How's grandma and grandpa? How are the grandkids? All these things that you need to know that you forget to talk about on the phone if you can find time on the phone.
Yeah, there's never really enough time over the phone because everybody's got different schedules. And it's just, there's only so much time you can talk on the phone.
Right. And I think Easter is very, very important because it's like the start. I know January is the start of the new year, but like springtime, that's the time that, people are like, okay, now we're really going to start going out and doing stuff. And, if you're in the trades, which a lot of our family is, that's the time you really start going out and making money. So I think you can use Easter as like a soul cleansing time, like a spring clean out of your soul and your thought process and everything else, using this talk and knowing that you got the backing of your family and just spending the quality, fun time making memories.
Yeah. And in our house, it seems like it goes by so quick. Like there's not enough time, but we cram a lot of stuff in that time.
There is. And, I've got my own traditions. Since you've known me, we've been together 22 years now. Have you ever seen me not buy a dozen chocolate marshmallow bunnies or eggs?
He's always buying those.
Always. That's just part of my Easter. That's something that I do. And I know I'm not supposed to because I'm diabetic, but you know what? There's some things that are worth,
getting the sugar from.
Yeah. And those are something because it's kind of a part of my childhood. I love going outside and, watching the little ones go look for where the Easter bunny hid the eggs. That's one of my all-time favorite things ever.
We've had it to where they've went out to look for eggs and, when we hide them, we can't remember where half of them are hid.
Right. And, if I was the Easter bunny, I think I would do things a little bit different. Like, I'm surprised there's not like mossy oak eggs that the Easter bunny can get and like, make them camouflage.
Oh, I've seen camo eggs.
See, I've never seen a camo egg, but that would be something really fun to do. And then before we moved down south when we were up north, sometimes we would go to like the Easter egg toss. You remember that?
Yeah.
Down in Fireman's Park and stuff like that. We were always done something, and it's always been family centric.
Yeah.
And I think, as a husband and wife, it kind of does the same thing. It kind of renews your soul, like seeing everybody and being happy. And you do get some more worries like, well, this person's going through that and this person's going through that. But when you bring the family together, there is no power like the love between a family. There's nothing else like it.
For sure. Just knowing that our kids are going to be here, that helps take a lot of the worry and missing away because now they're here and you get to cram pack everything in one day and get to enjoy that time with them.
That's true. And there's this hint of familiarity with food that goes back to our loved ones that are gone.
Yeah, Grandma Darlene.
Grandma Darlene, my Grandma Shirley, things that they made like, sandbuckles, when I can make them for Christmas. There's nothing better. And that was my Grandma Shirley's thing. And then my Grandma Darlene, she made strudel or kroomkaka.
I make those.
And now you make those.
Yeah.
And then Easter, she always made this fruit fluff. What is that? Like a fruit salad.
Yeah.
And it's the kind that like you eat is so good, and then it gives you gas. Right? I mean, it just.
I've never had gas from it, but.
Yeah, well, sure you haven't. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I know you have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is what it is, but there are things like that memories built that, things that I think when you have something like that, like Grandma's macaroni salad, when you're eating it, it's like, yeah, this is good. But there's also that memory that pops up that, man, I sure do miss Grandma. I sure do miss her doing these things.
It keeps their memory alive.
Right. And, as it should, or, it was one of the grandpas saying something at Easter when we all got together. And, thank goodness that we had family that got together like that. And there wasn't fighting and stuff. It was just everybody got together and had a good time. And even if there was family arguments, Grandma and Grandpa sure weren't going to put up with that.
Yeah, I don't think I ever seen an argument at Grandma Darlene's.
No,
ever.
because it wasn't allowed. And you had enough respect for them that even if you were angry at, your cousin or what, you still came there and you acted civil. And, those types of things need to be renewed. The traditions need to be renewed from our elders. And I think that new traditions need to take shape like us. Like when we were younger at Grandma and Grandma's, there was no football playing and basketball playing. And now it's almost, well, that's going to happen type thing.
Yeah, I remember Grandma Darlene taking us down to the park in Ontario Easter egg hunting.
Yep. I mean, there was always something like that. And then a couple years ago, we went up to Illinois to my sisters, and everybody kind of met down there. And we just had a blast with everybody.
Yep.
I mean, some people that usually don't get along, they were all together and everybody was having fun. It was wonderful to have the whole family together. And I wish we could do that more. And I think that's something that you can use Easter for is to teach our kids, and sometimes a reminder to ourselves of how important it is to get your family together. Family reunions. It doesn't need to be like a family reunion. It can be Easter.
Grandparents are an important role.
Grandparents, I believe that, but part of life is people pass away.
Yep.
And you got to keep their memory alive, but you got to keep the foundational principles that they gave you to raise your family. And that's family's number one. There is nothing more important than family. If your family needs you, you better drop everything and go.
Yes.
Period. I mean, that's literally the foundation that I grew up on. Sometimes people are struggling. And I think that in our family, we do a pretty good job of, once we identify somebody struggling, well, then we talk to them. How can we help? How can we get through this? How can we help that person find peace? And sometimes it's only time that can do that. But when your family's behind you, it seems like it happens a lot quicker.
Yeah. I think that when they know they have somebody there that's willing to help, I think they open up. But it's hard to tell somebody that you're struggling.
I mean, it is. But if there's anybody that you should be able to tell, it should be your family.
Absolutely.
Your family should have your back. Your family should not talk behind your back.
That's the biggest thing, though, is sometimes you don't want your family to know because you're embarrassed.
I mean that does happen, but that's just part of life.
Yeah,
and hopefully,
everybody.
Hopefully you have a strong enough relationship with people in your family that you can get over that. That the last person that my kids ever have to worry about telling something to is me.
Yeah.
And then maybe you.
Yeah, I try and help as best as I can. And
Now, this is kind of weird, but for Easter, a lot of times, well, we had this machine called a Coca-Motion.
I still have it.
Okay, so it's somewhere, folks. But we used to make it. Well, tell them about it.
It's just a machine, and they're very expensive. You wouldn't look at it and think, man, that thing's over $100 because it's just a small little white Mr. Coffee machine. And it looks like a tea machine, kind of like what you'd make tea in. But you add your milk and you add your Hershey's cocoa and you add your vanilla and you add your sugar and you just click a button and it spins it and heats it at the same time. And
Right.
It's homemade hot chocolate.
Right. And so we would do that a lot of times. My grandpa, when he was still alive, Grandma would go to Sunday church and Grandpa would stay behind and he would make eggs and cheesy fried potatoes.
Yes. I
Every
remember
Sunday.
that.
You remember, or every Easter Sunday, that's what he did. So when Grandma came home, it wasn't until a little bit later that everybody showed up there, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But it was awesome, and we absolutely loved it. And, I think little memories like that are important to build.
And I remember cramming everyone into Grandma's little house.
Yes, my grandma lived in a trailer, like a 16 by 80 trailer, and we probably had 40 or 50 people in there every Sunday.
Yeah.
And she absolutely loved it. Everybody there loved it. It was just a great time. It was one of them times you had to go outside the house because it was so hot in the house because there's just so many people in there.
Yeah. It was fun, though.
Right. So, folks, go enjoy Easter. Don't forget why we celebrate Easter. Use it as a time to clean your soul. Use it as a time to mend family problems. Use it as a time to create tradition and just renewal. Not just spiritually, but emotionally and relationally. Remember what's really important in this world. And I think Easter's a good time to start remembering these things.
Absolutely. And you can go over and subscribe to our YouTube channel, We Are the Hansons. If you have anything you want to ask us, if you have an idea of a show you want to hear about our family, send it to us on our We Are the Hansons Facebook or our We Are the Hansons show at gmail.com. And we hope to hear from you.
Yes, we do. Thank you guys and enjoy your Easter weekend and love your family.